Hello and welcome. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Bringing the World to Prince George's County. I'm Council Chairman Mel Franklin, your host. Together, we are taking big steps on purpose to transform Prince George's County into a destination for the world. Stay tuned. My special guest for this edition of Bringing the World to Prince George's County will join me to discuss the county's economic boom and what that means for our communities and our residents. Bringing the World to Prince George's County comes your way in just a moment.
You realize that 49 million Americans struggle with hunger? That's 1 out of every 6 Americans. These people are around us every day. They're our friends, they're our coworkers, their kids go to school with our kids. Sometimes we're not even aware that they're struggling. This problem is closer than you think. So is the solution.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Welcome to Bringing the World to Prince George's County, a production of the Prince George's County Council. The world is coming, and Prince George's County is ready. Whether it's National Harbor expansion, new businesses and communities, development around our transit stations, new federal and state tenants, a new regional medical center, new entertainment venues, or a true downtown, we are becoming an innovative leader in a 21st century economy. This is Bringing the World to Prince George's County with your host, Council Chairman Mel Franklin.
Hi, and thank you for tuning in to this edition of Bringing the World to Prince George's County. This program is a production of the Prince George's County Council. I'm your host, Council Chairman Mel Franklin. Bringing the World to Prince George's County focuses on our economic development success and the great work we are doing together to move Prince George's County forward. The world is coming to our county, and we will be ready. Economic opportunity abounds in Prince George's County, and you can see it everywhere you go. We are doing big things on purpose, and my guests for this edition of Bringing the World to Prince George's County join me to discuss the county's economic development agenda, our strategies, goals, and successes. I'm excited to welcome 2 key members of the county's economic development team. Aubrey Thagard, Interim Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Economic Development and Public Infrastructure, and David Iannucci, Assistant Deputy Chief Administrative Officer for Economic Development and Public Infrastructure. Welcome, and thank you both for joining me on this edition of Bringing the World to Prince George's County.
My pleasure.
I'm really pleased to have you here, not only because you're really here to talk about what really is the core purpose of this show, which is economic development and jobs, but also because you're at the forefront of the cutting-edge things the county is doing to really transform ourselves into a destination for the world. So thank you for being here. Let me start with you, Mr. Iannucci. You have an impressive professional history. You're an attorney. I won't hold that against you. I'm an attorney too. And prior to joining the county executive's economic development team, you served as executive director of the Baltimore County Department of Economic Development and Secretary of the Maryland Department of Business and Economic Development under former Governor Glendening. We're glad you're on our economic development team. You have so much experience and knowledge. Why don't you explain to the viewers the importance of economic development success to Prince George's County and how it's going to shape our future going forward?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a really long-term resident of the county, I live with my family in Bowie. My daughter goes to public schools. This is a great opportunity to work with the county executive and with you and the council to really transform Prince George's County, to rebrand Prince George's County. We have great opportunity to grow this county. I think you would probably agree that as a public servant, your 2 highest priorities are probably education and public safety. But you need money to deal with that. And that's where economic development comes in. Our role, Aubrey's role and my role is to help grow the businesses here, to grow the number of jobs here, ultimately grow the number, the tax base of the county, so that with growth in the commercial tax base, with more jobs for our residents so they don't have to get on the beltway every day and leave, we can have more revenue for those key government services such as education and public safety. Economic development is critically important, but in a lot of ways it's a means to an end.
Right, that's a great point. And I want to turn to you, Mr. Thagard. Your resume is equally as impressive, with more than 20 years of experience in public policy development, urban planning, and economic development in Mississippi, Georgia, the District of Columbia, and now We're glad to have you in Prince George's County. In addition to lecturing at several universities, you're also a former professor of urban planning and an author of several published works on this subject. As the principal lead to the county, many of the county's initiatives relating to economic development, including our bid to attract the FBI headquarters and other federal tenants, well, tell us a little bit about what it would mean for us to win the FBI competition to have the FBI headquarters located here in the county.
Well, if you're going from a numbers perspective, you start with the fact that you're talking about 11,000 new jobs coming to the area. Millions of dollars of revenue for both the state and the county, as well as the city of Greenbelt. The opportunities are, I think, innumerable in terms of bringing other ancillary development that would help support FBI. It will be the creation of a new employment center as well as an activity center where you'll have opportunities for retail, other office development, as well as residential here. So what the FBI coming to Prince George's County represents, has this economic impact from a numbers perspective, but it also has an impact in letting the rest of the Washington National Capital Region know that Prince George's County is an economic engine for this region here. One of the things that has been so impressive about this effort thus far is the sense of unity that everyone in the state of Maryland has appreciated here with regards to this effort here, and they've gone and really lend their support to this effort. They've gotten behind the county executive and rallying for the cause, not only on a local level, but also our federal delegation as well here. So this is a tremendous opportunity here. The FBI headquarters is probably going to be one of the most significant federal office construction projects that we've had in this region since the construction of the Pentagon in the 1940s. So it is absolutely a major imperative for us to see this happen here in Prince George's County.
That's outstanding. I mean, so that really signifies or exemplifies the idea of being a destination for the world if we were able to win this opportunity. And I know Greenbelt's our lead location for doing that, and I know that would be transformational for that area and really for the rest of the county as well. Did you have any other thoughts, Mr. Iannucci, on that?
It is historic. I mean, Aubrey and I have talked about, there was a day in 1941 where Franklin Roosevelt made the decision to put the Pentagon at a former airfield called Hoover Field in Northern Virginia. Think about what Northern Virginia would be like without the Pentagon. It revolutionized what the economy was of what was once a rural area. The FBI coming to Greenbelt would revolutionize what Prince George's County is to this region. It would put us on international maps, and it would be everything that Aubrey said in terms of an economic powerhouse. But the symbolic value, the real value, the dollar value is all unprecedented.
And turning back to you, Mr. Thagard, just as we're going for this FBI procurement, we actually succeeded in having the new State Department of Housing being located here, and I know we just broke ground. When will that project be completed, and what does that mean to the county?
Well, finally, we have a state cabinet level agency located here in Prince George's County with the construction of the Department of Housing and Community Development at New Carrollton. It is a transit-oriented development opportunity that we want to encourage and support as much as we can, and we've put a lot of effort into making sure to make this happen here after a couple of starts and stops. We're talking about 115,000 square feet of office space there, hundreds of residential units being constructed right across the street from the metro station, basically. And it's a great opportunity to bring some of the state services to Prince George's County as opposed to having to go up to Anne Arundel County, or in some instances even Baltimore City to get some of these services there. So it's bringing the access to state government closer to home here, and that's one of the more important aspects here. And we hope that this is not the last of those opportunities coming to Prince George's County.
And I know New Carrollton has for a long time been a target location for us in the county to try to develop, and we're finally seeing some momentum there with all of the transit infrastructure you have. It seems like a natural location that we would be able to promote and be successful at attracting jobs and high quality economic development. Right.
I mean, when you think about the fact that you've got a transit station that has multiple modes of transit. You've got not only WMATA with the Metro rail system, you've got MARC, you have Amtrak, you also have bus, WMATA bus, and Greyhound and Trailways. So you've got all of these multiple modes of transit located at this station here. And one of the great draws for, I think, for a lot of employees is going to be the fact that they're going to be able to not only walk to the metro station, but they're going to be able to dispatch themselves not just across the metropolitan region, but they could easily go and catch a train and within a couple of hours be in New York City. Right. You know, in 45 minutes be in Baltimore, in an hour and a half or so be in Philadelphia. So it's a significant opportunity for us to really practice what we're preaching in terms of transit-oriented development and turning that particular area into a very powerful, very, how can I put it, a very vital community where you've got a lot of activity going on, you've got people on the streets, you've got retail, you've got the apartments, you've got people who are working there. And it's
place making.
You're making a place.
Right.
You're creating a destination for the county and for the region.
Absolutely, and you both touched on this a little bit, but maybe we can go a little more in depth into, you know, what are our strategies when we're going after federal and state tenants? You know, what are the selling points? How do you sell the county when you're in the room with GSA or other entities that have some decision making related to our federal and state partners when we're trying to get them to locate here? What are kind of the selling points? We've already touched on many of them with our transit stations.
Well, not only do we have the transit stations, but we also have, I think, a good supply of Class A office space that is very competitive with the rest of the region. If anything, is more of a cost savings than other locations. We've got the opportunity to put investment to help with bringing those agencies into the county. We've developed a great working relationship with GSA. Moving forward here, one of the potential pilot programs that we helped to broker was with the Branch Avenue Metro Station agreement between WMATA and GSA, where we hope eventually there will be a federal tenant located there. And what we've done is to play the broker to where say, okay, you've got a site. Now you don't have to worry about trying to find a site and the vertical developer. What GSA can now focus on is finding the vertical developer and saying, okay, we have a site, we have this agency here that we need to locate here, how are you going to do it? And it's providing an opportunity to have this access to a site with a very low cost in terms of land.
And I would add to that, one of the resources we bring is a strong workforce. We have many, many federal employees who live in Prince George's County, probably around 75, 77,000. Our challenge, however, we have about 25,000 federal jobs in the county. So many of those federal workers who, as it turns out, are actually better educated and compensated than the average Prince George's County worker have to leave the county for their employment purposes. So we pitch to the GSA, you have a chance to give people who work for you, work for the federal government, a location in the county, to keep them off the Beltway, keep them off Metro, give them a lot better quality of life, but a very wealthy, rich, strong workforce that is should be attractive. And then we have location in general. We can offer the proximity to the nation's capital, all the transportation advantages that I already talked about, and then we also tell them, and something that I think the council should feel good about and the county executive, we have a county that is going to make it easy for them. We're going to do everything we can to make it a good decision. I think Congressman Hoyer, during some of the FBI efforts, has said we can make these decisions the right decision for the American taxpayer as well as good for Prince George's County.
And you really touched on a great point with the imbalance sort of in our workforce versus the number of jobs that are really here, and how that really drives up traffic for the whole region.
That's right.
And a much more balanced development strategy for the federal government in how it locates its tenants and its offices will actually benefit the whole region in terms of lessening some of the burdens on infrastructure by locating jobs closer to where much of the federal workforce is, particularly here in the county.
The FBI going to Greenbelt could take thousands of cars off of the Beltway, or all those people in the county who have to go westbound in the morning on the outer loop going through Montgomery County. Many of them wouldn't have to do that, so we literally could reduce Beltway traffic.
Well, I want to thank you both for working so hard to bring the world to Prince George's County. It's time for a short break, but don't go away. There's much more to come as we continue our discussion about Prince George's County's transformation into a destination for the world. Bringing the world to Prince George's County returns in just a moment.
And then from this angle, it all makes a star.
I'm a teacher.
Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore.
Show up
And frustration, a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy, and giving up impossible.
And then we're going to turn the lights and everybody look up.
I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought.
Find me one. What's your reaction to it? Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And unconventional methods.
Okay, what else?
Common.
Little tadpoles, frogs, spiders. This is their world.
There's nothing.
And then they die. Go ahead, go, go, go.
I'm a teacher. I make more.
Welcome back to Bringing the World to Prince George's County, a production of the Prince George's County Council. I'm Council Chairman Mel Franklin, your host. We are continuing our conversation about Prince George's County as a destination for the world, with two key members of the county's economic development team, Aubrey Thagard, Interim Deputy CAO for Economic Development and Public Infrastructure, and David Iannucci, Assistant Deputy CAO for Economic Development and Public Infrastructure. Thank you again for being my guests on Bringing the World to Prince George's County. We were discussing some of the federal and state tenants and our ability to attract them. Why don't we shift a little bit and talk about what we're doing in terms of attracting the private sector. County Executive Baker and other county officials, including myself, will soon make the trip to Las Vegas for the 3-day Global Retail Real Estate Convention beginning on May 18th. Why don't you explain, both of you, the importance of that convention? It's sponsored by the International Council of Shopping Centers. What are our goals and expectations for the event?
This gathering is one of the largest gatherings, probably the largest gathering in the United States, which brings together developers, retail tenants, and government, all trying to put that magic together that helps make tenants and retailers and restaurants and stores make the right decision. In case of Prince George's County, we have a long-standing desire to improve the quality of the shopping experience for the Prince George's County resident. We have a wonderful success to talk about, of course, since our last time there, which is the Tanger outlets, which have just taken off spectacularly. I think the information we have is one of the best Thanksgiving weekends ever in the Tangers. And so we have the type of premium quality stores that we wanted, but there are many locations in the county where we are eager to work with the developers to help them pursue targeted retail tenants. So the role the county plays, the county executive, you will be able to tell a developer, tell a retail tenant, we'll make it happen for you. We'll make the permit process easy. We'll make you so you don't have the uncertainty of or any delays, and we'll make here are the demographics of this area. Here's the buying power of this area. Here's the population with the education that you're looking for, that you can come and make a profit. We'll work with. They'll also target particular retailers, and we'll go to some high-end, perhaps grocery stores or other retail shops, and say, come to Prince George's County. You probably haven't taken a look at us. Here are the numbers. Here's one of the wealthier areas in the United States. I think we're in the top 4% of the United States when it comes to wealth as a county. So we'll try to send that combined message that it would be a good decision. We have wins to point to from these conferences in the past. And the Forestville Shopping Center, there is a new Roses, which is a department store that's located there. It moved into a shopping center that frankly had seen many better days. Right. And with the county executive, lieutenant governor, and economic development corporation, we're able to literally make the pitch to the president of Roses and saying, come here, we'll make it profitable. That meeting was in May of last year. He made the decision in the meeting to put the Roses there. It opened the few days before Thanksgiving, and it's a rousing success now. And that's a great example of what we can do and what we'll try to do at this convention.
Absolutely. And I think you have a number of opportunities at redeveloping some of our sites, particularly near transit stations, but at other places in the county. We have a lot of aging shopping centers that are really in need of revitalization and redevelopment, and some of these tenants could be drivers in helping us do that. And so
that's right.
I definitely think that conference will be important. You touched on permitting and our process and how we've endeavored to improve permitting and making ourselves more business friendly. Why don't you both speak to, and I'll turn to you first, Mr. Thagard, the new Department of Permitting, Inspections, and Enforcement, it's nearly a year old. How has that improved permitting, and how, what's the business reaction to that new agency? We call it DPI,
right.
Just to cut short the name.
Right. Well, as you said, DPI is about to turn a year old, and it is, I think, off to a great start. And in particular, the way the business community has received it has been very positive. We've really worked very hard to cut down the time frames in which permits get approved. Minor jobs, for instance, now you can easily go in and go to a walkthrough counter, get those permits approved very quickly. We have a mega project suite now that deals with large projects. We have under one roof now all the agencies that touch the permitting process, basically. We have worked out agreements with the Park and Planning Commission to have located employees there. We have also, hopefully very soon, WSSC employees to handle permitting issues as well. We have the Soil Conservation District is going to be moving in there as well, into the suite as well, and then we're going to have a presence from the State Highway Administration as well. So we're having this one-stop shop scenario played out very well for an agency that's not even a year old yet. We've taken all the various processes and we've reduced them by, 2/3 essentially. So we're off to a great start with DPI, and we're going to continue to make improvements with our technology. We're going to get more resources. Putting a little plug for the budget there, to get our inspections group running the way it needs to as well here, and I think you're going to see in very quick time the type of permitting, inspections, and enforcement department that everyone really is going to be proud of.
That's great, and one of the things you hit on was sort of this one-stop shop approach. All of those agencies you mentioned, for our viewers who don't know, all have a role at various parts of the development process. And so when we want to attract jobs or attract a high-end retail or something, an amenity that residents want, many of these agencies are along the way in terms of approvals that project has to receive, and having all of those agencies in that one location working within one agency, DPI, will make our process more efficient and make us more competitive with our neighbors in the region. And staying on that same vein in terms of making ourselves more competitive, we have the Economic Development Incentive Fund, which was a important goal and objective of the county executive and the council. And it's now, I think we're entering year 3 of it?
End of year 2, yeah.
Okay, and tell us about how the Economic Development Incentive Fund is doing, how effective it's been in terms of attracting economic development and helping us preserve economic development in the county.
It truly has allowed Prince George County to compete in a way that we never could do before. I really want to thank you and the council for your support and your leadership, and the county executive, obviously. We're nearing a milestone. As you know, you funded it for $50 million. So it was a 7, 8, 9-year period to be essentially a revolving loan fund. In about a year and a half of actual operation, it's been effective for more than 2 years, as you said. We've got 12 deals that have been approved, reviewed or approved by the council. That's $9.3 million in EDI fund that have been committed, and that has leveraged $105 million in private development and about 1,800 jobs that have either been retained or created. So I think we're off to a great start. We're going to look for a little celebration when we hit that $10 million milestone, maybe in a couple months. Right. But the EDI fund has allowed Prince George County to compete in a way that as I said, we never could before. Montgomery County's had this type of fund. Fairfax County's had this fund. Baltimore County. But when it came to essentially closing those gaps or providing that tiebreaker with a company when they're trying to decide whether to move or to maybe to locate in the county, we couldn't do anything before, and we were constantly being outbid, if you will, by our neighbors. We can compete now with anybody, and the $50 million really has had the wow impact that the county executive has talked about. We are able, there are companies that are in Prince George's County right now that had made a decision to leave the county, but have reversed that decision because of, one, the changing business climate, the new perception, DPI and the new leadership in the county, but two, because we can put some money on the table to make it a lot sweeter and a lot easier. So I thank you and the council, and I thank the county executive for giving us the chance to compete. We have another $11 million that are in the soon to be seen pipeline for EDI fund. Some very big projects where those funds make the difference in terms of making it happen. So we can compete now because of that.
Great. And we've touched on sort of this question of redevelopment earlier in the show. Why don't, and I'll turn back to you, Mr. Thaggart, but also Mr. Iannucci, if you want to chime in. Why don't we update the viewers on the Transforming Neighborhoods initiative? As our viewers are probably aware, this was a big endeavor of the county executive to try to look at some of our more challenging communities where a lot of them haven't experienced great economic development recently, and then bring all of our county agencies to bear to try to repair those communities and get them in a posture where they could be great destinations for economic development. Why don't we have an update on the TNI initiative and how well it's going?
Well, the TNI initiative is now coming on 2 years old, and one of the things we first focused on were those neighborhood service delivery issues. And of course, this is an outgrowth of the neighborhood crime initiative, the public safety initiative that was started by the police department a couple of summers ago. And what we have done now is expanded that focus to make sure that we had all the agencies to talk about neighborhood service delivery and focus on things like getting bulk trash picked up, dealing with vacant and abandoned homes and vehicles that have been abandoned, left out on the road, burned to a shell, etc. And from there, now we need to spread that focus to dealing with more intricate issues of economic revitalization, removal of blight and slum, for instance. And for instance, last week we tore down a building in Suitland that was purchased with the use of TNI funds. There are buildings that have been demolished all over the county because of TNI, and that increased investment there. And we're hoping to actually take that parcel that was torn down in Suitland, for instance, and actually redevelop that with the Redevelopment Authority. So now we want to focus in on our commercial centers in some of these areas there. What can we do to strengthen them, to make them more viable, and to serve the neighborhoods that they reside in a lot better than what we have in the past. So from there, creating the safer communities, the economic revitalization helps to really lend towards transforming those neighborhoods.
Absolutely. And in that same vein, you touched on public safety. I think TNI has been a big part of it, but also the great partnership of all of our public safety agencies in the county now experiencing a 30-year low in violent crime. How does that help? I mean, you go out to Las Vegas to market our great jurisdiction to retailers and other business folks. How does the record low in crime help sell the county?
Well, I think it shows that Prince George's County really has turned the corner from the perception that many had of it years ago, and that it's a clean, safe environment, that you won't be regretting locating your business here, and that the next piece is going to be making sure that your kids and your employees' families are going to be able to go to very successful, very progressive schools that will serve them well in their futures.
Absolutely. And one of the things that you really touched on as well is the fact that many of the business folks who have made the decision to locate here are really reaping great success. You mentioned Tanger and all of what's happening in terms of the great sales and whatnot, but you also have Wegmans, which is doing extraordinarily well, and you Bonefish and Brandywine and a number of stores. Well, I want to express my deep appreciation to both of you as my guests. Aubrey Thaggart, Interim Deputy CAO for Economic Development and Public Infrastructure, and David Iannucci, Assistant Deputy CAO for Economic Development and Public Infrastructure, for keeping us updated on the major progress our county is making in economic development. That's our program today for this edition of Bringing the World to Prince George's County. Thanks to our viewers for tuning in. Again, this program is a production of the Prince George's County Council. I'm Council Chairman Mel Franklin, your host, and I'm working to bring the world to Prince George's County.